Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on YouTube. Uh, Feel free to turn on your cameras. We will get started. And hopefully, if Maraj has the time, he will join us. But we'll get started with our regular program. So, uh, how I will do this is I'm gonna send a message in the chat, and at the bottom of this message will be a prayer format. So, we want to start every session off with a prayer. And how this works is we'll have someone nominate someone else, and we just need someone else to second that nomination. And then that person, if they so desire, will make the prayer for a successful youth jam call today. So does anyone can just unmute and nominate someone they'd like. And if no one does, I'll nominate someone. Anyone can feel free. All right. Well, okay.
Wait, I nominate Arav.
Okay. You nominate Arav, and Ananya also nominates Arav. So Arav, if you're okay with it, we'd love for you to kick off today's session.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
My dear Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Shri Gaurnitai Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, if you so desire, let us have a successful UJM where we can consult Shastra and we can learn something from the Bhagavad Gita and Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. Thank you for considering my request. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you very much, Arav. Um, so that was a beautiful prayer. We have no more announcements, really. Well, it's just the normal program today. I might be a new face for most people, but I'm happy to take over and do whatever service I can for Youth Jam today. So if I'm ever doing anything wrong or I'm going off schedule from what's usual, just let me know in the chat or you can unmute. But I think today we'll start with Chad. Um, if I'm not wrong, we are currently on chapter 11. We're doing the translations of the second half of chapter 11. So I'm going to share my screen and let's hope this works. Okay. Uh, uh, Give me 1 second. Okay. I think I just had to, I have to change some settings. Let's try this again. Okay. All right. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Maybe like, okay, I see some nods. Um, Okay, wonderful. So I think what we'll do is people can raise their hands and we'll take turns reading three shlokas each. We're starting at shloka 22 and we'll go till the end of the chapter. Um, I'll get us started and let me see. Okay, yeah, I'll get us started. And then I think hopefully the order of like whoever raises their hands will come in order of who should go. All right. By the various manifestations, by the various manifestations, uh, all the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, Vishva and the Vishvadevas, the two Ashvis, the Maruts, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form, with its many eyes, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. O all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. Ananya, you can go.
O Lords of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I am bewildered. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings, and Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, and our chief soldiers also, are rushing into your fearful mounts, and some I see trapped with heads smashed between your teeth. As the many waves of rivers flow into the ocean, so do all the great warriors enter blazing into your mounts.
Pavni.
I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths, as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays. O Lords of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the premier Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. Hare Krishna.
Arya.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of few, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Therefore, get up. Prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, can be an instrument in the fight. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and the other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies in battle.
Arav.
Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trembling Arjuna offered obeisances with folded hands again and again. He fearfully spoke to Lord Krishna in a faltering voice as follows. Arjuna said, O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. O Great One, greater than even Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you, O Limitless One, God of gods, refuge of the universe? You are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation.
Tarani Radha, please.
You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. You are air, and you are the supreme controller. You are fire, you are water, and you are the moon. You are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, again and yet again. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all-pervading, and thus you are everything.
Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend. Not knowing your glories, please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I've dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat, ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all of those offenses. You are the Father of this complete cosmic manifestation, of the moving and non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is greater than you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power. You are the supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus, I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done to you.
Navia. Navia, you feel free to go.
After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me, and reveal your form as this personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head, and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I wish to see you in that form. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you, by my internal potency, the supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence.
Okay, from here. Okay, how about everyone does two shlokas each, so everyone has a turn to go. So, Mayuri, you can go next.
O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in the material world. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished, my devotee. Be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire.
Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form so very beautiful, I am now composed in my mind, and am restored to my original nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am.
All right, Nista, you can, Nishta, please finish us off.
My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood by as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me.
Om Tat Sat. Thank you, everyone, for reading this with us. We have done our Chad for the day. Um, I don't know if anyone had any favorite verses or anything, but one of my favorite, I mean, the whole time we were reading this, I was thinking, wow, like how special is it that Arjuna got to witness this form? Um, but then Arjuna started talking about how it's also like frightening and it's so much to behold. And the second to last shloka especially said, like only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am. So it's like I was thinking, oh, like, how in cool would it be for me to see like a form like that for any of us? But, the only way we could properly understand it is through undivided devotional service. I don't know if there's any other verses people liked a lot, but if there is, maybe we can look at the purport for one of them, if anyone has any candidates. Tarani Radha?
I was intrigued by text 49. Thanks, 49. Should I read the translation?
Yes, please. And then you can give us like whatever thoughts you had about it.
You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Let it be finished. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. So, this verse, I was actually intrigued by how he says this horrible feature of mine, because nothing about Krishna is horrible. So, I thought about it and I realized it's because it's the material universal form. It's the material form, and Krishna doesn't want us to become attached or intrigued by his material form. He wants us to come to him, his spiritual abode. And since the universal form is material, he doesn't want us to be attracted to it, and therefore it's a horrible feature of his because it's relating to the material universe.
That was a beautiful realization. I mean, I was also confused and I didn't even think that. I didn't even think about it that much. So that was amazing. Let's look and see if there's a purport that we can read. Any volunteers want to read the purport of this verse? Okay, Mayuri, please go ahead.
In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was worried about killing Bhishma and Drona, his worshipful grandfather and master. But Krishna said that he need not be afraid of killing his grandfather. When the sons of Dhritarashtra tried to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly of the Kurus, Bhishma and Drona were silent, and for such negligence of duty they should be killed. Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna just to show him that these people were already killed for their unlawful action. That scene was shown to Arjuna because devotees are always peaceful and they cannot perform such horrible actions. The purpose of the revelation of the universal form was shown. Now Arjuna wanted to see the four-armed form, and Krishna showed him. A devotee is not much interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. Either a devotee wants to offer his respectful, worshipful feelings, or he wants to see the two-handed Krishna form so that he can reciprocate in loving service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it encapsulated what Tharani Radha was saying when it said a devotee is not much interested in the universal form. It's like inherently material, I guess. For it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. So that was a good purport to read. Uh, thank you very much for volunteering. Um, yeah, that I think this ends our chat discussion for the day. Usually next, what we do is we can do some shlokas. I don't know if anyone has any preferences. Let me see if Maharaj was able to join us today. Okay, he's not here yet. So I know we do the CC Mangala Charan sometimes. Um, are there any other, is there anything else anyone would like to do? If not, we'll just get started with the CC. Okay. Okay, let's do it. Give me 1 second. Let's find it. Okay. Perfect. So let's take turns for this one again. So, everyone raise their hands. Let's do, or whoever would like to, please raise their hands and maybe we can do one shloka per person. Um, and Arav, please start us off.
Hare Krishna. Vande Gurun Ishabhaktan Isham Ishavatarakan Tat Prakasham Shatat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Samyakam.
Okay, also let's do the translations too. So how about you read the verse and also the translation? Okay. I'll do this translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnation, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Okay, Arya.
वन्दे श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यनित्यादौ सहादित्यो गोदयते पुष्पवन्तौ चित्रान् सौन्द्यतमानिदौ. Do I read the translation?
Yeah, you should.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Goda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all.
Okay, Tarini Radha.
Which meter should I use for this verse?
Okay, this is also tricky for me, so let's see. Yadadvaitam Brahmopanishadi tad api ashvatanobha. Yeah, I think that's the one.
Okay, I think I got it. Yada Yadadvaitam Brahmapo sorry Brahmopanishaditat apyasyatan. Oh, sorry, I don't. Can I skip on this one?
Okay, sure.
I think someone else can get it better.
Okay, I'll try. Let me see if I can do it. Yadadvaitam Brahmopanishadi tad api asya tanobha ya atmantaryami purusha iti sosyamsha vibhavaha Sadaishwarya Purno ya iha Bhagavan Sasvayamayam Na Chaitanyad Krishna Jagati Paratatvam Paramiha. Okay, kind of, right? Kind of there. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord, known as a supersoul, is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with six opulences. He's the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. Okay, Keshav, you want to take a crack?
Anarpitam charim chirat karayana vatyana kalau samarpayutam unutojvala rasam swabhakti shriyam haripurata sundaradiuti kandamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spurutava sachinandana. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, a most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love.
Okay. Kirtaniya Gaura.
Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikrita Hladin Shaktir Asmat Ekatmana. Wait, how'd you say? Like you sing it again?
I think you were doing it. I think if you keep going, that was good.
Ekatmanav Api Bhavi Purade Habedam Gatau Chaitanyakyam Prakata Aduna Tadvayam Shaikam Aptam Radha Bhava Dhyuti Savalitam Nami Krishna Sarup. Can I try that again?
Yeah, please feel free.
Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladinir Shaktir Asmat Ekatmanav Apipavipura Deha Vedam Gatau Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Adina Twadaya Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Dhyuti Suvalitam Nami Krishna Sarup. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have united again in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself.
Okay, Arav, I think you might be a pro, so show us how it's done. Please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kiddisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yena Adbhutamadurima Kiddisho Vamadhiya Saukyam Chasya Madanubhavata Kiddisham Veti Lobha Tadbhavadhya Samajani Shachi Garbha Sindho Harindu.
Haribol. Okay, and I think I kind of underestimated the Mangalacharna, so let's just go through the Sanskrit for now. Okay, Vrinda and Mukunda.
सङ्कर्षणाकारणतो यशायि गर्बोधशायी च पयोभिशायी शेषश्च यस्यां शकलासनित्य नन्दाख्यरामा शरणं ममस्तु.
Oh,
व्यापि वैकुण्ठलोके पूर्णैश्वर्यश्रीचतुर्व्यूहमध्ये रूपं यस्योद्भाति शङ्कर्षणाक्षयं तं श्री नित्या मायातीते व्यापि वैकुण्ठलोके पूर्णैश्वरी श्रीचतुर्व्यूहमध्ये रूपं यस्योद्भाति शङ्कर्षणाख्यं तं श्रीनित्यानन्दरामं प्रपद्ये.
Haribol, thank you. Good to see you. Okay, Arav, please.
Maya Bharta Janda Sanga Shriyanga Shete Sakshat Karanam Bodhi Madhye Yasyai Kamsha Shri Puman Adi Devas Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye.
Gora.
Yasyam shasham shash Srilagarbhodashayi Yanabhyajam Lokasankatanalam Lokashata Shuddhika Damadatus Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Wait, Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. I offer my obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Rama, a part of whom is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who sprouts the lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of the multitude of planets.
Arav.
Yasyam Sham Sham Paratmakhilanam Poshta Vishnu Bhati Dugdhabdishai Krauni Bharta Yat Kala Sopyanantas Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye.
Tarani Radha.
Mahavishnu Jagatkarta Mayaya Srijatyada Tasyavatara Evayam Advaitacharya Ishvara.
Vrinda and Mukunda.
अद्वैतं हरिणाद्वैतात् आचार्यं भक्तिशंसनात् भक्तावतारमीशं तम् अद्वैताचार्यमि आश्रये.
Gora, Goranga and Vishwambar.
Okay, Prabhuji. Panchatattvaत्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्.
Manhar?
Okay. Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Vanda Matergati Matsarvasa Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano.
Arav.
दिव्याद्वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमाध श्रीमद्रत्नान्गारसिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद्राधा शीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठालीभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि.
Mayuri.
श्रीमन्रासरसारम्भे वंशीवटतटस्थितः कर्षन्वेणुस्वनार्गोपीर्गोपीनाथः श्रीयस्तु नः.
Vrinda. And Mukund.
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा.
Arav.
एतिने ठाकुर गौड़िया के करियाचे न आत्मसात एतिने रचरण वंदोन्तिने मोरनाथ.
Gorang.
ग्रन्थेरे आरम्भे करि मङ्गलाचरणः गुरुवैष्णव भगवान् नेरस्मरन्.
Navya.
Dinirasmaranahaya Vignavinashana Anayasehai Nija Vanchita Purana.
Okay. Thank you. So we've gotten through it. And this has, invoked the blessings necessary for us to start or continue with today's kata. So I think this is what everyone's probably waiting for. Let's continue reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. We left off on chapter 19, planting the seed. And this is the exact paragraph we should start from. Though it might be worth just starting from the beginning of the chapter again, so we know what the chapter is about. Uh, does anyone have any suggestions for how many paragraphs everyone should read? Can someone tell me what we normally do?
We've been doing two first.
Okay, let's do two a person. And Mayuri, please start us off.
It was makeshift, a storefront turned temple and a two-room apartment transformed into the Guru's residence and study, but it was complete nonetheless. It was a complete monastery amid the city slums. The temple, the storefront, was quickly becoming known among the hip underground of the Lower East Side. The courtyard was a strangely peaceful place for aspiring monks with its little garden, bird sanctuary, and trees, squeezed in between the front and rear buildings. The Swami's back room was the inner sanctum of the monastery. Each room had a flavor all its own, or rather it took on its particular character from the Swami's activities there. The temple room was his kirtan and lecture hall. The lecture was always serious and formal. Even from the beginning, when there was no dais and he had to sit on a straw mat facing a few guests, it was clear he was here to instruct, not to invite casual give and take dialogue. Questions had to wait until he was finished speaking. The audience would sit on the floor and listen for 45 minutes as he delivered the Vedic knowledge intact, always speaking on the basis of Vedic authority, quoting Sanskrit, quoting the previous spiritual masters, delivering perfect knowledge supported with reason and argument. While contending with the noises of the street, he lectured with exacting scholarship and deeply committed devotion. It appeared that he had long ago mastered all the references and conclusions of his predecessors and had even come to anticipate all intellectual challenges.
Puja.
He also read kirtanas in the storefront, like the lectures. The kirtanas were serious, but they were not so formal. Prabhupada was lenient during kirtana Visitors would bring harmoniums, wooden flutes, guitars, and they would follow the melody of or create their own improvisations. Someone brought an old string bass and bow and and piano and an inspired guest could always pick up the bow and play along. Some of the boys had found the innards of an upright piano waiting on the curb of with someone's garbage, and they had brought it to the temple and placed it near the entrance during kirtana. Free-wheeling guests would run their hands over the wires, creating strange vibrations. Robert Nelson, several weeks back, had brought a large cymbal that now hung from the ceiling, dangling close by the Swami's legs.
But there was a limit to the extravagance. Sometimes when a newcomer picked up the karatalas and played them in a beat other than the standard 1, 2, 3, Swamiji would ask one of the boys to correct him, even at the risk of offending the guests. Prabhupada led the chanting and drummed with one hand on the small bongo. Even on this little bongo drum, he played Bengali mridanga rhythm so interestingly that a local conga drummer would used to come just to hear the Swami get in some good licks.
The Swami's kirtans were a new high, and the boys would glance at each other with widening eyes and shaking heads as they responded to his chanting, comparing it to their previous drug experiences and signaling each other favorably. This is great. It's better than LSD. Hey man, I'm really getting high on this. And Prabhupada encouraged their newfound intoxication. As master of these kirtans, he was also acting expertly as guru. Lord Chaitanya had said, "There are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy name," and Prabhupada brought the chanting to the Lower East Side just the way, a kindergarten of spiritual life. He once called the temple. Here he taught the ABCs of Krishna consciousness, lecturing from Bhagavad Gita and leading the group chanting of Hare Krishna. Sometimes after the final kirtan, he would invite those who were interested to join him for further talks in his apartment.
Dharanirana.
In the back of the room of his apartment, Prabhupada was usually alone, especially in the early morning hours, 2, 3, and 4 a.m., when almost no one else was awake. In these early hours, his room was silent, and he worked alone in the intimacy of his relationship with Krishna. He would sit on the floor behind his suitcase desk, worshipping Krishna by typing the translations and purports of his Srimad Bhagavatam. But this same back room was also used for meetings, and anyone who brought himself to knock on Swami's door could enter and speak with him at any time, face to face. Prabhupada would sit back from his typewriter and give his time to talking, listening, answering questions, and sometimes arguing or joking. A visitor might sit alone with him for half an hour before someone else would knock and Swamiji would invite the newcomer to join them. New guests would come and others would go, but Swamiji stayed and sat and talked.
Navya.
Generally, visits were formal. His guests would ask philosophical questions and he would answer, much of the same as after a lecture in the storefront. But occasionally, some of the boys who were becoming serious followers would monopolize his time, especially on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, when there was no evening lecture in the temple. Often, they would ask him personal questions. What was it like when he first came to New York? What about India? Did he have followers there? Were his family members devotees of Krishna? What with his what was his spiritual master like? And then Prabhupada would talk in a different way, quieter, more intimate and humorous. He told how one morning in New York he had first seen snow and thought someone had whitewashed the buildings. He told how he had spoken at several churches in Butler, and when the boys asked what kind of churches they were, he smiled and replied, "I don't know. and they laughed at him. He would reminisce freely about the British control of India and about Indian politics. He told them it was not so much Gandhi as Subhash Chandra Bose who had liberated India. Subhash Chandra Bose had gone outside of India and started the National Indian Army, which he entered into an agreement with Hitler that Indian soldiers fighting for British India who surrendered to the Germans could be returned to the Indian National Army to fight against the British. And it was this show of force by Bose, more than Gandhi's non-violence, that led to India's independence.
He talked of a childhood at the turn of the century when street lamps were gaslit and carriages and horse-drawn trams were the only vehicles on Calcutta's dusty streets. These talks charmed the boys even more than the transcendental philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and drew them affectionately to him. He told about his father, Gar Mohan Dev, a pure Vaishnava. His father had been a cloth merchant, and his family had been intimately related with the aristocratic Muliks of Calcutta. The Muliks had a deity of Krishna, and Prabhupada's father had given him a deity to worship as his child. He used to imitate the worship of the Govinda deity in the Muliks temple. As a boy, he had held his own Ratha Yatra festivals each year, imitating in miniature the gigantic festival of Jagannath Puri, and his father's friends used to joke, "Oh, the Radha Yatra ceremony is going on at your home, and you did not invite us? What is this?" His father would reply, "This is a child's play, that's all." But the neighbor said, "Oh, child's play, you are avoiding us by saying it's for children?"
Nishta, sorry.
Prabhupada fondly remembered his father, who had never wanted him to be a worldly man, who had given him lessons in Mridanga, and who had prayed to visiting sadhus that one day the boy would grow up to be a devotee of Radharani. One night he told how he had met his spiritual master. He told how he had begun his own chemical business, but had left home and in 1959 had taken sannyas. The boys were interested, but so ignorant of the things Prabhupada was talking about that at the mention of a word like mridanga or sannyasi, they would have to ask what it meant, and he would go on conversational tangents describing Indian spices, Indian drums, even Indian women. And whatever he spoke, he would eventually shine upon it the light of the Shastra. He did not ration out such talk, but gave it out abundantly by the hour, day after day, as long as there was a real live inquirer.
At noon, the front room became a dining hall, and in the evenings, a place of intimate worship. Prabhupada had kept the room with his 12-foot squared hardwood parquet floor clean and bare. The solitary coffee table against the wall between the two courtyard windows was only furniture. Daily at noon, a dozen men were now taking lunch here with him. The meal was cooked by Keith, who spent the whole morning in the kitchen. At first, Keith had cooked only for the Swami. He had mastered the art of cooking dal, rice, and sabji in the Swami's three-tiered boiler, and usually there had been enough for one or two guests as well. But soon more guests had begun to gather, and Prabhupada had told Keith to increase the quantity, abandoning the small three-tiered cooker, until he was cooking for a dozen hungry men. The boarders Rafael and Don, though not so interested in the Swami's talk, would arrive punctually each day for prasadam, usually with a friend or two who had wandered into the storefront. Steve would drop by from his job at the welfare office. The Moth Street group would come, and there were others. The kitchen was stocked with standard Indian spices, fresh chilies, fresh ginger root, whole cumin seeds, turmeric, and asafoetida. Keith measured the basic cooking techniques and passed them on to Chuck, who became his assistant. Some of the other boys would stand by at the doorway and of the narrow kitchenette to watch Keith as one thick pancake-like chapati after another blew up like an inflated football over the open flame and then took its place in the steaming stack. While the fine basmati rice boiled to a moist, fluffy white finish and the sabji simmered, the noon cooking would climax with the chants. Keith prepared the chunk exactly as Swami had shown it. Over the flame he set a small metal cup, half filled with clarified butter, and then put in cumin seeds. When the seeds turned almost black, and he added chilies, and as the chilies blackened, a choking smoke began to pour from the cup. Now the chunk was ready. With his cooked tongs, Keith lifted the cup, its boiling, crackling mixture fuming like a sorcerer's kettle, and brought it to the edge of the pot of the boiling dal. He opened the tight covered lid, dumped the boiling chunks into the dal with a flick of his wrist, and immediately the lid. Pow! The meeting of the chants and dal created an explosion, which was then greeted by cheers from the doorway, signifying that the cooking was now complete. This final operation was so violent that it once blew up the top of the pot to the ceiling with a loud smash, causing minor burns to Keith's hand. Some of the neighbors complained of acid, penetrating fumes, but the devotees loved it.
When lunch was ready, Swamiji would wash his hands and mouth in the bathroom and come out into the front room, his soft pink-bottomed feet always bare, his saffron dhoti reaching down to his ankles. He would stand by the coffee table, which held a picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates, while his own associates stood around him against the walls. Keith would bring in a big tray of chapatis, stacked by the dozens, and place it on the floor before the altar table, along with pots of rice, dal, and sabji. Swamiji would then recite the Bengali prayer for offering food to the Lord, and all present would follow him by bowing down, knees and head to the floor, and approximating the Bengali prayer one word at a time. One word at a time. While the steam and mixed aromas drifted up like an offering of incense before the picture of Lord Chaitanya, the Swami's followers bowed their heads to the wooden floor and mumbled the prayer. Prabhupada then sat with his friends, eating the same prasadam as they, with the addition of a banana and a metal bowl full of hot milk. He would slice the banana by pushing it downward against the edge of the bowl, letting the slices fall into the hot milk.
Keshav.
Prabhupada's open decree that everyone should eat as much prasadam as possible created a humorous mood and a family feeling. No one was allowed to simply just sit picking at his food nibbling politely. They ate with the gusto Swamiji almost insisted upon. If he saw someone not eating heartily, he would call the person's name, smilingly protest. Why are you not eating? Take prasadam. And he would laugh. When I was coming to your country on the boat, he said, I thought, how will the Americans ever eat this food? And as the boys pushed their plates forward for more, Keith would serve seconds, more rice, dal, chapatis, and sabji. After all, it was spiritual. You're supposed to eat a lot. It would purify you. It would free you from Maya. Besides, it was good, delicious, spicy. This was better than American food. It was like chanting. It was far out. You got high from eating this food. They ate with the right hand, Indian style. Keith and Howard had already learned this, and had even tasted similar dishes, but as they told the Swami in a room full of believers, The food in India had never been this good.
One boy, one boy, Stanley was quite young, and Prabhupada, almost like a doting father, watched over him as he ate. Stanley's mother had personally met Prabhupada and said that only if he took personal care of her son would she allow him to live in the monastery. Prabhupada complied. He diligently encouraged the boy until Stanley gradually took on a voracious appetite and began consuming 10 chapatis at a sitting, and would take even and would have taken even would and would have taken more had Swamiji not told him to stop. But aside from Swamiji's limiting Stanley to 10 chapatis, the word was always more, take more. When Prabhupada was finished, he would rise and leave the room. Kate would catch a couple of volunteers to help him clean, and the others would leave. Occasionally, on a Sunday, Prabhupada himself would cook a feast with special Indian dishes. Can I read again? Because that was okay. Steve. Swamiji personally cooked the prasadam and then served it to us upstairs in his front room. We all sat in rows, and I remember him walking up and down in between the rows of boys, passing before us with his bare feet and serving us with a spoon from different pots. He would ask what did we want. Did we want more of this? And he would serve us with pleasure. These dishes were not ordinary, but sweets and savories like sweet rice and kachoris with special taste. Even after we had all taken a full plate, he would come back and ask us to take more.
Thank you. Katai.
Once he came up to me and asked what I would like more of. Would I like some more sweet rice? In my early misconception of spiritual life, I thought I should get me myself what I like best. So I asked for some more plain rice, but even that plain rice was fancy yellow rice with fried cheese balls. On off nights, his apartment was quiet. He might remain alone for the whole evening, typing and translating Srimad Bhagavatam, or talking in a relaxed atmosphere to just one or two guests until 10. But on meeting nights, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there was activity in every room of his apartment. He wasn't alone anymore. His new followers were helping him, and they shared in his spirit of trying to get people to chant Hare Krishna and hear of Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. Okay. Pooja and Parvati, you can go next. And we'll end with Tarani Radha. Yeah, if you still want to go, we'll go Pooja, Parvati, Arya, and then Tarani Radha. Uh, and that's where we'll end for today. So, all
Okay,
right,
thank
feel
you.
free.
In the back room, he worked on his translation of the Bhagavatam
or spoke with guests up until 16. When he would go take his bath, until 6. When he would go take his bath, sometimes he would have to wait until the bathroom was free. He had introduced his young followers to the practice of taking 2 baths a day, and now he was sometimes inconvenienced by having to share his bathroom. After his bath, he would come to the front room where his assembled followers would sit around him. He would sit on a mat facing the picture of Banka Davda, and after putting a few drops of water in his left palm from a metal spoon and bowl, he would rub a lump of Vrindavana clay and water, making a wet paste. He would then apply the clay markings of Vaisnava Tirtha, dipping into the yellowish paste in his left hand with the ring finger of his right. He would scrape wet clay from his palm, and while looking into a small mirror which he held deftly between the thumb and the pinky on his left hand, he would mark a vertical clay strip up his forehead and then trim the clay into 2 parallel lines by placing the little finger of his right hand between his eyebrows and running it upward past the hairline, clearing a path in the still moist clay. Then he marked 11 other places on his body while the boys sat observing, sometimes asking questions or sometimes speaking their own understandings of Krishna consciousness.
All right.
Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj used to put on tilak without a mirror. Devotee, did it come out neat? Prabhupada, neat or not neat, that does not matter. Yes, it was also neat. Prabhupada would then silently recite the Gayatri mantra, holding the Brahmana's sacred thread and looping it around his right thumb. He would sit erect, silently moving his lips. His bare shoulders and arms were quite thin as was his chest, but he had a round, slightly protruding belly. His complexion was as sanity smooth as a young boy's, except for his face, which bore signs of age. The movements of his hand were methodical, aesthetic yet delicate. He picked up 2 brass bells in his left hand and began ringing them. Then, lighting 2 sticks of incense from the candle near the picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates, he began waving the incense slowly in small circles before Lord Chaitanya. While still ringing the bells, he looked deeply at the picture and continued cutting spirals of fragrant smoke, all the while ringing the bells. None of the boys knew what he was doing, although he did it every evening, but it was a ceremony and meant something. The boys began to call the ceremony bells.
All right. Dharnira.
After bells, after bells, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it would usually be time for the evening kirtan. Some of the devotees would already be downstairs greeting guests and explaining about the Swami and the chanting. But without the Swami, nothing could begin. So no one knew how to sing or drum, and no one dared to think of leading the mantra chanting without him. Only when he entered at 7 o'clock could they begin. Freshly showered and dressed in his clean Indian hand-woven cloth, his arms and body decorated with the arrow-like Vaishnava markings, Prabhupada would leave his apartment and go downstairs to face another ecstatic opportunity to glorify Krishna. The tiny temple would be crowded with wild, unbrahmanical, candid young Americans.
Thank you. All right. And so there's a natural break in the chapter here, so I think it's a good place for us to stop today. And now for a few minutes, if anyone has reflections to share, we can do that. Feel free to raise your hand. But I thought it was nice seeing how the New York temple is starting, or what I assume is a New York temple, based on the context clues. Two things where there was one part which said that Prabhupada stayed up very late into the night or got up very early at 3 or 4 a.m. To do his service, and I was thinking, like, sometimes I'll stay up really late, but not for any good reason. It's because of my poor time management, and I have to do things that I just neglected doing throughout the day. I was thinking, wow, like one day maybe I'll be so good that I want to wake up early to do more things, not that I'm forced to wake up early or stay up late. And the second thing was I liked seeing that how this chapter revealed Prabhupada's personality. Like I feel like usually we don't see so much of his human personality because at the end of the day he's a spiritual person. Um, but it's nice seeing that he talked about his own personal experiences and had his own sense of humor, and we never got to experience it personally, so it's harder for us to imagine, but these books put it into perspective. Arv?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, your the point about not sleeping what reminded me a lot of some great devotees like Srila Prabhupada. I know later in his life he barely slept at all. Actually, he would sleep for maybe 1 hour and then he'd have a 30-minute nap later in the midday, which is like how many of us can even run on like even 4 hours of sleep a day? Like 1 hour is a lot less. And then also I was remembering from the Chaitanya Bhagavata, there was one banana seller named Kolavecha Sridhar. So during the day he would sell his bananas, he would do his work. Depending on Krishna, fully Krishna conscious, he would meet with Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu would steal the bananas from him for free. He would take them, and in the night, for the whole night, he would just be loudly chanting names of Krishna at night instead of sleeping. And also in the bhajan Udilo Aruna, there is Miche Mida Bashe Gelo Re Rate Divasa Shari Rashaje, which is you spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your bodies. And then it says Ebe Nabhajile Yashoda Sutta, which is these materialists, they don't worship the son of Yashoda. And we can just see Srila Prabhupada is doing that in this, it's evident. That's what your point reminded me of. Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah, that was amazing. What song was that again?
Udilo Aruna by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I'll
Thank you.
type in the chat.
Okay, yeah, perfect. If anyone wants to pick that up, I mean, I know I want to look at it later, so thank you very much. Um, okay, thank you for sharing your reflection, Arav. I think this concludes today's Youth Jam session. Um, it doesn't look like Marge was able to join us today, so I think we had a good session anyways. So thank you everyone for coming, and please forgive me if I made any mistakes in hosting this session, but um, I really liked how everyone, even though we did like a very technically hard uh, shloka recitation today. I like that everyone really tried their best and struggled through it. I'm sorry for choosing a hard one, but um, I think everyone I think everyone did great on the Mangala So maybe we'll keep doing it more and more, and everyone will know the meters, and Arav will teach everyone how to do every meter. It'll be perfect. So thank you for coming, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Radhe
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.